Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a word that never stops stretching. A word that has no walls, no edges, no final resting place. That word is infinity. It is a thought so large that even when you hold it in your mind, it keeps slipping further away, like a horizon that runs as you chase it. Children often ask, what comes after the biggest number? Adults smile, but secretly they wonder too. Infinity is not just mathematics. It is the heartbeat of the universe, the silence of space, the rhythm of time. It is the promise that nothing is truly finished, only transformed. Tonight, as you rest, we will drift gently into this idea. We'll walk with ancient thinkers, listen to the quiet voice of nature, and see how infinity shows itself in grains of sand, in the ocean, and in the stars above. It will not be rushed. It will arrive like a lullaby, unfolding piece by piece. And as we follow its path, you may feel something familiar, or that you have touched infinity before, perhaps in a dream or in the stillness of a single moment, the word that has no ending. Infinity is not just a number written on paper. It is more like a feeling, an opening that never closes. When people first whispered the word, it was not in equations, but in awe. Imagine standing on a mountaintop at night, the stars spilling without measure. How do you name that? Our ancestors gave it sound, a syllable, a breath, a word that points toward the unending, yet even when we say it, we don't capture it. It slips past the tongue, reminding us that language is only a doorway, not the entire horizon. The word itself carries a mystery. In Latin, infinitus meant without end. Simple enough, yet the more you think about it, the stranger it becomes. Without end. But everything we know seems to end. The day ends, a song ends, a story ends. And yet the word insists that somewhere, beyond these endings, there is something larger. It is like a candle that never burns out, a river that flows without source or mouth. When children first learn of infinity, they often laugh. What if you keep counting forever? The laugh hides a tremble, because they realize forever is not a game. It is a truth too big for small hands. Infinity humbles us, yet it also excites us. To touch it, even in thought, is to feel both very small and very vast at once. Poets, too, have been haunted by this word. For them, infinity is not cold or mathematical. It is love that never dies, a memory that stays even when the body fades. Perhaps this is why the word has survived across cultures. It belongs to mathematicians, yes, but it also belongs to lovers, to dreamers, to wanderers staring at skies they cannot measure. And so infinity is more than concept, it is presence. It is the reminder that the story of existence does not fold neatly at the edges. It spills, it pours, it expands. And once you have felt it, you begin to notice it in places you never expected. How ancient minds first touched the idea. Long before calculators and chalkboards, people still wrestled with the unending. Ancient Greek philosophers sat under olive trees debating what it meant for something to never stop. Zeno imagined an arrow flying through the air, never quite reaching its target because it always had half the distance left to travel. His paradox was not about archery, it was about infinity hiding inside motion. Imagine the frustration and wonder of realizing even a simple walk to the door might contain endless steps, shrinking smaller and smaller, but never gone. For Indians, infinity appeared in spiritual texts. The Upanishads whispered that from infinity comes infinity, and yet infinity remains. A strange riddle. How can you take from infinity without lessening it? But when you think of light or love, it makes sense. One flame lights 1,000 candles, and yet the first flame is not diminished. These were not just equations, they were glimpses of a reality larger than the senses could grasp. Ancient Egypt, too, spoke of endless time, using the symbol of the serpent swallowing its tail, the Ouroboros. A circle that never breaks. Was it about life, about time, about the stars above them? Perhaps it was all three. Symbols became the way humans carried infinity when words were too small. What is striking is that infinity was never owned by one culture. Across deserts, mountains, and seas, humans looked up, and they saw the same thing. No end. A shared human astonishment, and each tried to paint it, sing it, or carve it into stone. They were not solving problems, they were touching mystery, and maybe that is the beauty of ancient minds. They did not pretend to master infinity. They bowed to it, honored it, lived alongside it. Their questions were left open like windows, so the wind of the infinite could still pass through. The endless sky as humanity's first teacher. Before philosophy, before numbers, people looked up. The sky was the first classroom of infinity. Imagine lying on your back in a field thousands of years ago. No city lights, just darkness alive with countless stars. There is no way to measure them, no way to reach the edges. The sky taught humanity its first lesson in endlessness, that above us stretches something we can neither touch nor finish counting. The moving of the stars added another layer. Night after night, the same patterns returned, but always with slight shifts. The sky was both infinite and ordered, vast yet patterned. That balance fascinated early humans. They saw gods in the constellations, stories written across eternity. Even today, when we trace Orion's belt or the curve of the Big Dipper, we are following those same ancient lines of thought. But the sky is not only endless in space, it is endless in depth. When you stare long enough, you realize the stars you see may be gone, their light only arriving now. Infinity hides in that delay. The sky shows us the past and the present in one glance, a reminder that infinity is not only distance, but also time layered upon itself. Children often feel this first. A child will tug a parent's sleeve, asking, "Where does the sky stop?" The parent answers softly, "It doesn't." That moment is a doorway. A mind realizes for the first time that some things are too large to draw a line around. And that realization is both frightening and comforting, like realizing the ocean of the universe cradles us within it. The sky remains our greatest teacher. Telescopes only deepen the lesson, showing us galaxies upon galaxies. But even without them, just one glance upward reminds us, infinity is not a theory. It is visible every night in the canvas stretched above our heads, stars scattered without count. The stars themselves are storytellers of infinity. To stand beneath them is to be drenched in numbers too high to name. Astronomers estimate hundreds of billions in our galaxy alone, and billions of galaxies beyond. Yet each tiny point of light feels intimate, as if it shines only for the one who looks. Infinity hides in that paradox, countless yet personal. What is more humbling is that the stars are not dots on a ceiling. They are suns, vast furnaces, each with their own world circling them. Infinity is not just in the number of stars, but in the possibilities around them. Somewhere, in the billions of planets, life may also be looking up, asking the same questions we ask. Even when stars die, they contribute to infinity. Their explosions scatter elements that form new stars, new planets, even our own bodies. To say we are made of stardust is not poetry, but fact. Infinity is in that recycling, endings that are not truly endings but transformations. One star's death becomes another's birth. Infinity is not a still pool, but a flowing river of creation. As telescopes reveal more, the count grows absurd, galaxies filled with stars beyond measure, and then clusters of galaxies and filaments weaving them together. Each discovery adds layers of infinity, like curtains pulled back only to reveal more curtains. A cosmic game of hide and seek where the answer is never final. And yet, despite its immensity, the night sky remains deeply personal. Lovers hold hands beneath it, travelers guide their way by it, poets lose themselves in it. Infinity is not only out there, it is in the quiet human hearts that beat beneath the stars. Sand on the shore and grains beyond measure. If the sky is too vast, the earth whispers the same lesson through smaller things. Think of sand slipping through your fingers on a beach. Each grain is a world of its own, shaped by time, washed by waves, carried by winds. To count them is impossible, and yet infinity is there, scattered beneath your feet, reminding you that the unending is not only above, but also below. Ancient thinkers compared stars to grains of sand. As countless as the sands of the sea, they would say. Even today, astronomers use that metaphor. The number of stars visible may rival the grains of sand on all the beaches of Earth. That image binds heaven and earth, infinity mirrored in both directions. But sand is not just countless, it is also timeless. Each grain is a fragment of mountains worn down over millions of years. Infinity whispers through their journey, from stone to pebble to sand to dust. Holding one grain connects you to an endless past and an endless future, as it will continue its journey long after your hand lets go. Children play with sandcastles, not realizing they are shaping infinity. Their towers crumble, but the grains remain, ready to be lifted again by waves. There is something eternal in that cycle: creation, destruction, and creation again. A gentle rhythm that reminds us endings are never final, only steps in an infinite dance. So, whether you gaze at the sky or kneel at the shore, infinity reveals itself. It does not only live in the vast, it hides in the smallest particles. The stars and the sand are both teachers pointing in the same direction, toward a truth too vast to ever finish holding. The ocean's waves that never truly stop. Stand at the edge of the sea and you'll notice something almost hypnotic. Waves never ask permission, and they never rest. One rises, one falls, and another follows. Infinity speaks through that rhythm, not in numbers, but in the endless repetition of motion. It reminds us that life too has no fixed pause, only movements that change shape but never really disappear. When ancient sailors set out on wooden boats, they must have felt this truth. Days would pass, and still the water moved. Night fell, and the same song continued. The sea became a living mirror of eternity, whispering that infinity was not abstract at all. It was right beneath their ships, pushing them onward. Even on the shore, children play with waves, chasing them forward and back. But no matter how many they touch, more arrive. There is no last wave. That thought alone is a quiet comfort. Endings are not real here. The ocean promises continuity, even when human lives are brief. Science explains waves as energy transferred across water, but even in the explanation, the mystery lingers. Energy itself never ends, it only moves. The ocean, then, is not only a body of water, it is a visible face of infinity, always in motion, never exhausted. And perhaps that's why people find peace sitting by the sea. Its constancy reassures us. No matter the storms of our lives, the waves will still be there, moving, whispering, stretching without end, time stretching forward without final hour. We often think of infinity in space, but time is its quieter twin. Look at a clock, the hands turning without pause. Even when the clock breaks, time continues. There is no final hour, no true midnight after which nothing follows. Time is the river that flows past all things, carrying moments forward into the uncertain. For many, this is unsettling. To realize that long after we are gone, time will keep ticking. Yet there is also beauty in it. Our lives are threads in a tapestry that stretches endlessly, each of us adding color to a story that does not end. Ancient calendars tried to mark time, but they always circled back. Years repeat, seasons return, the sun rises again. The circle of time hints at infinity in disguise, forward motion that is also eternal return, birth, growth, decay, rebirth, cycles spiraling forever. Philosophers wondered if time itself had a beginning. Did it start at creation, or has it always been? Science today asks the same question, looking back to the Big Bang. Yet even there, the mystery lingers. If time began, what came before? If it never began, how can it exist at all? Infinity hides in that puzzle. Time's endlessness is not only cosmic, it is personal. Think of memory, of dreams, of hopes. They stretch beyond now, backward and forward, weaving us into infinity whether we notice it or not. The memory of yesterday blending into forever. Memory itself is a kind of infinity. Close your eyes and yesterday returns. Your first day of school, a laugh with a friend, the smell of your grandmother's kitchen. All of it, still alive in the folds of the mind. Infinity is there, not in length but in depth, because one memory can be revisited endlessly, never exhausted. Scientists say memory is fragile, but we know it also holds astonishing strength. A song can open decades in a heartbeat. One scent can collapse the years. The past is never truly gone. It lingers, reshaped, ready to be touched again. Time may move forward, but memory pulls it back into an endless circle.
And memories are not only personal, humanity remembers too, through stories, through books, through art. A cave painting tens of thousands of years old still speaks to us today. Infinity hums inside that survival across generations. The past keeps whispering into the present. Sometimes memory even makes us ache, because it reminds us that nothing is fully lost. A loved one may pass, but their laugh remains inside us, echoing endlessly. Infinity lives in that echo, keeping them alive in ways we cannot measure. So memory becomes both gift and mystery, proof that yesterday never really disappears. It is folded carefully into forever, waiting for us to open it again when the moment calls. A line that can always be divided again.
Pick up a pencil and draw a line. Now imagine cutting it in half, then cut one half again and again. The question appears, can you ever truly finish? Mathematics whispers, no. For inside every line, no matter how small, infinity waits, hidden in endless divisions. This was one of the first shocks philosophers gave the world. A simple thing like a line contains infinite pieces. Even a grain of dust holds infinity within its boundaries. Infinity is not only vast, it is also intimate, nested within the tiniest details. Think of walking across a room. Each step can be halved and halved again. Do you ever arrive? Of course you do, but the paradox remains. Movement itself is stitched from infinite possibilities. Our ordinary actions then carry a secret infinity inside them. Children sometimes play with this, tearing paper smaller and smaller, amazed at how many pieces can be made. The lesson is innocent but profound. Infinity does not only stretch outward to the stars, but also inward, shrinking into the invisible. And in that discovery lies wonder, that the universe hides endlessness, not only in what is too large for us to hold, but also in what is too small for us to see. The circle that holds no beginning or end. Perhaps the most ancient symbol of infinity is the circle. Drawn in sand, carved in stone, or imagined in the sky, it returns everywhere. Unlike a line which has ends, a circle flows endlessly. Trace it with your finger. No matter where you start, you never finish. You return to yourself again and again. Cultures around the world saw sacred meaning in this. The sun, the moon, the seasons all circle endlessly. The circle became a symbol of eternity, of life that does not truly die. Even the wedding ring carries this quiet whisper, a bond without end. But circles are more than symbols. They are in the patterns of atoms, the orbits of planets, the wheels that carry us forward. Infinity hides in their geometry, repeating motion without rest. Each turn is new, yet also the same. Infinity becomes visible in the simplest of shapes. And when we look closer, the circle folds into deeper mysteries. Pi, the number that defines a circle, stretches into infinite decimals, never repeating. Every circle drawn hides infinite mathematics tucked away in its curve. So the circle teaches gently. Infinity is not always vast and unreachable. Sometimes it is held quietly in your palm, in a ring, in the turning of a wheel, in the simple perfection of a curve that never break, numbers that climb beyond reach. Numbers are our first playground with infinity. As children, we start with 1, then 2, then 10. Soon we realize there is no last number. Add 1 more and the ladder grows taller. The mind tries to see the top but finds none. Infinity whispers here, not in stars or oceans, but in the quiet act of counting. Mathematicians describe numbers as infinite sets, stretching endlessly in both directions. There is no final step. And this endlessness is not only forward, negative numbers fall backward forever too. Infinity spreads out like 2 arms, forward and behind, holding everything between. What fascinates is how the ordinary act of arithmetic touches the extraordinary. Multiplying, dividing, expanding, all led deeper into infinity. A simple +1 carries the entire weight of forever. Infinity hides in the child's chant, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, 1,000,000,000,000. Yet still more follows. Philosophers once doubted numbers, wondering if they were real or imagined, but whether carved in stone or spoken in classrooms, they all point to the same endless ascent. Infinity here is not distant, it is immediate, living in every addition we make. And so in the climb of numbers, we glimpse a truth too vast to finish. Infinity begins where counting refuses to stop. The endless decimals of pi. Few numbers reveal infinity as beautifully as this ancient constant, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, stretches into infinite decimals, never repeating, never resting. Mathematicians have chased it for centuries, calculating millions of digits, yet it never ends. For the Greeks, pi was a doorway to infinity hidden inside geometry. Imagine, every circle from the smallest coin to the orbit of planets carries this number within it. Yet the number itself is bottomless, unfolding without closure. Infinity curls into every curve we see. What is haunting is the randomness of its digits. No pattern repeats, no cycle returns. Within pi may lie every possible sequence, your birthday, the lyrics of a song, the history of the universe, all hidden in its endless string of numbers. Infinity, tucked inside one constant, waiting to be uncovered. Children often write 3.14 and stop, but the truth stretches far beyond the chalkboard. To realize this is to glimpse that infinity can hide in something as familiar as a circle, as humble as a slice of pie on a plate. So pi is not only a mathematical constant, it is a gentle reminder that even in the simplest shapes, infinity breathes quietly, never fully caught, never exhausted, fractions that slip between every hole. At first, numbers seem solid, 1, 2, 3. But then fractions appear and infinity reveals itself in the spaces between. Between 1 and 2 lies 1.5. Between 1.5 and 2 lies 1 3/4. Between those, more still. No matter how closely you look, there is always room for another fraction, another step. This was once a startling discovery. People realized numbers were not stones laid side by side. They were a flowing river with infinite currents between any 2 points. The simple question, what lies between, opened the floodgates to infinity. Fractions became a map of endlessness. They showed that between any 2 numbers, no matter how close, an infinite family hides. Infinity does not only stretch outward into the stars, it also slips inward into every crack, filling the spaces we thought were empty. Even today, fractions remind us of this wonder. Slicing an apple in half does not end the division. Halve it again and again and again. Infinity is present in each slice, waiting in the spaces we thought too small to matter. And in this discovery, the mind learns a quiet truth. Infinity is not far away. It is sitting right between the steps of the numbers we thought we knew. Infinity hiding in the smallest spaces. Infinity often appears in the vast, galaxies, time, oceans. But the same infinity hides in the smallest corners. Think of atoms, the building blocks of matter. Inside them, protons and electrons dance. Inside those, smaller particles wait. Scientists wonder, does this chain ever end? Or is there always another layer, smaller still? Infinity whispers inside the tiniest folds of existence. Philosophy once spoke of indivisible atoms, but science kept digging. Each discovery only revealed more mysteries, more layers. The deeper we look, the more infinity seems to unfold within what we thought was final. Even in geometry, the tiniest line segment holds endless points. Infinity does not require vastness. It can bloom inside something so small you cannot even see it. The micro and the macro both open to the same endless horizon. Children sometimes ask, what's the smallest thing? The answer always slips further away. Electrons, quarks, fields, each leads to another possibility. The smallest thing may never exist. Infinity may always wait just one step deeper. And so infinity hums not only in stars above, but also in the dust beneath your fingertips, in every atom you breathe. The endless does not only tower, it hides quietly in the invisible. The paradox of Zeno's arrow in flight. Long ago, the philosopher Zeno imagined an arrow flying through the air. He asked, how does it reach its target? For before it arrives, it must travel halfway, and before halfway, a quarter, before a quarter, an eighth. Infinity of steps unfolds. If the arrow must cross infinite points, how does it ever move? The paradox stunned minds for centuries. Of course, in reality, the arrow does fly, it does land, yet the paradox remains, whispering that infinity lurks inside every moment of motion. The smallest action carries unending steps hidden within. This thought is unsettling, but also profound. It shows us that infinity is not abstract, it is woven into the fabric of movement, of time, of space. Every walk across the room, every falling leaf, carries infinity folded inside it. Modern mathematics answers Zeno with calculus, summing infinite steps into a finite distance. But even with answers, the wonder remains. Infinity does not vanish when explained. It simply changes its face, becoming even more mysterious. And perhaps that is Zeno's gift to us. His arrow reminds us that infinity is not always distant. It lives in the everyday, in footsteps, in arrows in the smallest journey from here to there. A horizon you can walk toward, but never reach. Stand in an open field and look at the horizon. It feels near, just beyond your steps. You walk forward and it shifts away. No matter how far you go, the horizon remains the same distance ahead. Infinity hides here, not in the stars or in equations, but in something your eyes see daily, yet never touch. Travelers across deserts must have felt this ache. The line of sand always promised a destination, but it was only an illusion. They walked, but the edge retreated. The horizon became a living lesson. Infinity, not as abstract philosophy, but as the lived experience of endless pursuit. Children notice it too. They ask why they cannot catch the sky. The parent smiles but knows there is no answer that satisfies. The horizon is not a place. It is an invitation to see the endless woven into ordinary life, teaching us that some things are meant to remain just beyond. The horizon whispers of infinity's paradox. Always present, never reachable. It embodies the truth that infinity is not about arrival. It is about journey, about motion, about the recognition that some lines will never close. And perhaps that is its quiet beauty. The horizon keeps us moving. It makes the world feel both larger than we can master and tender enough to carry us within its endless embrace. The sky's edge that always moves farther away. Look up at the sky and you will see another kind of horizon, not just the line of the earth, but the dome above. As you climb a mountain, the sky grows taller. As you rise in a plain, it stretches farther still. Infinity hides in that expansion, always one step ahead of your grasp.
Astronauts felt this deeply. Leaving Earth, they did not find an edge of sky, but more sky, and then more beyond that. The higher they climbed, the more the universe revealed its endless layers. The edge was never there. Infinity wrapped around them like a quiet cloak. The human mind longs for boundaries. We want walls, limits, definitions. But the sky refuses them. It teaches us that infinity is not something you find at the end. It is what makes the end impossible. Think of birds flying across seasons or clouds drifting beyond mountains. The sky carries them, yet never ends. It is both a stage and a mystery, both home and horizon. Infinity breathes through its shifting blues and its star-scattered nights. And so when you gaze upward, you are reminded of infinity, not as an abstract concept, but as a living companion, one that stretches and retreats, always inviting wonder. Mirrors facing each other, worlds within worlds.
Step into a room with two mirrors facing each other, and a strange infinity appears. Your reflection stretches backward forever, image after image, smaller and smaller, retreating into invisible distance. It is infinity made visible, not in the stars or the ocean, but in a bathroom mirror. Children laugh at this trick, but if you linger, it unsettles. Each reflection contains another and another until your mind begins to swim. You know the mirrors are just glass, yet they open a corridor into endlessness, a tunnel of light and shadow you cannot walk through, but cannot deny. This is a playful infinity, but also profound. It shows us that infinity is not only cosmic, it can be built, seen, touched. In the simplest of objects, a household mirror becomes a window into the unending. Artists have used this, placing mirrors in galleries to trap visitors in infinite halls of reflection. What begins as fun becomes a reminder. Infinity is not elsewhere. It is in our perception, our tools, our own eyes, reflected endlessly back to us. And in those reflections, perhaps there is a lesson. That even the self, the I we think is singular, contains infinite versions, infinite possibilities, mirrored across the corridors of time and imagination. The spiral shells echoing endless curves. Walk along a shore and you may pick up a seashell shaped like a spiral. Trace it with your finger and you'll notice the curve never truly ends. It winds outward, larger and larger, yet always keeping the same shape. Infinity lives here, wrapped in the soft architecture of nature. This spiral is no accident. It follows the golden ratio, a pattern that repeats in flowers, galaxies, hurricanes. Infinity is not just abstract mulban. It is woven into the very designs of life, a signature stamped into creation itself. Hold a shell to your ear, and you hear the ocean's echo. In that sound, another infinity appears, the endless rhythm of waves carried inside the shell. It is as if infinity folded itself twice, once in the spiral's form, and again in the sound of the sea caught within. Scientists admire the mathematics of spirals, but for ordinary people, they are simply beautiful. They remind us of growth, of unfolding, of a journey that has no final step. Infinity shows itself not through size, but through shape. And so a shell becomes a teacher, small enough to fit in your palm, yet carrying the vastness of unending curves. Infinity hidden in something the tide leaves at your feet, the music of repeating patterns in nature. Listen to the song of crickets, the crash of waves, or the rhythm of rainfall on a roof. Nature speaks in patterns, repeating but never identical. Infinity hums through these repetitions, creating comfort without closure. The pattern always returns, but always with variation, second a dance between order and endlessness. Look at the stripes on a zebra, the spots on a leopard, the veins on a leaf. They repeat, yet no two are exactly the same. Infinity reveals itself in these living prints. Repetition without limit, variation without end. In mathematics, these patterns are called fractals, repeating at every scale. But in life, they are simply nature's signature. From the spiral of galaxies to the curl of ferns, the universe loves to repeat itself infinitely, weaving beauty into every layer. Humans join this song too. Our heartbeat, our breathing, our footsteps, all repeat, all carry infinite rhythm. We are not separate from nature's infinity. We are part of its music, moving with its endless drum. And so, every breeze through trees, every ripple on a pond, every echo of birdsong carries the same message. Infinity is not far away. It is in the repeating patterns that cradle us, gently, endlessly. Fractals that fold forever into themselves. Look closely at a fern leaf. Each small leaflet mirrors the larger frond, repeating the same shape over and over. This is the language of fractals, patterns that repeat at every scale. Infinity hides here, not in size, but in endless self-similarity. Nature whispers its love for repetition through these forms. Fractals are not just found in leaves, coastlines, clouds, mountain ranges. They all reveal fractal structures. Zoom in and the jagged line looks like the whole. Zoom out and the pattern still holds. Infinity lives in this game of scale, never letting you reach a final detail. Artists have been enchanted by fractals, using them to create mesmerizing images of spirals and colors that seem to breathe. Computers revealed them more vividly, showing worlds within worlds, shapes within shapes, unending landscapes hidden in equations, infinity painted in glowing light. But fractals are not only visual, they live in sound too. Music often carries repeating rhythms within rhythms, infinite layers of structure woven into harmony. The ear feels what the eye sees, a repetition that never exhausts itself. And so, fractals remind us, infinity is not just far away or abstract. It is tangible, built into the very texture of our world, folding endlessly, beautifully into itself. Snowflakes that never truly repeat. Hold a snowflake on your glove and you are holding infinity's signature. Each snowflake is unique, no two alike in the history of snowfall, yet each follows the same geometry, delicate six-sided symmetry spun from frozen water. Infinity hides here, in endless variation from a single law. Scientists explain snowflake shapes through temperature and humidity, but even with explanation, the wonder remains. Billions fall each winter, and still no repetition. Infinity hums in this variety, endless in its creativity, turning a simple drop of water into an artwork never seen before, never to be seen again. Children know this instinctively. They catch snowflakes, marvel at their lace-like patterns, then watch them melt. Infinity is fleeting yet ever present, written in each falling crystal. Something so small carries the weight of eternity's promise. Poets and painters have turned to snowflakes as symbols of individuality, of the infinite ways existence expresses itself. One pattern, endless variations. One rule, infinite outcomes. A lesson nature teaches gently with every storm. So in every snowfall, infinity falls silently around us, countless shapes, countless designs, all vanishing quickly, yet proving that infinity is not about permanence. It is about endless possibility. The branches of trees splitting endlessly. Stand beneath a tree and look upward. Branches divide into smaller branches, then into twigs and into leaves. Each split mirrors the larger whole. Infinity breathes in that pattern, branching without end, a living fractal that shades the earth. This branching is not only in trees. Rivers branch into streams, veins branch into capillaries, lightning branches across the sky. Infinity hides in these dividing paths, endlessly splitting, endlessly flowing. Mathematics calls this recursion, but life calls it design. The tree becomes both symbol and proof that infinity is not only in stars or numbers, but also in the body of nature, growing quietly outside our windows. There is a lesson here, too. Each branch begins from a trunk, yet the trunk cannot contain all its possible futures. Infinity spreads outward, unpredictable, free. Our own lives sometimes mirror this. One choice leading to many, each of those to countless others. Infinity hides in possibility itself. And so every tree you pass is not only shade and shelter, it is a map of infinity written in wooden leaf, a reminder that endlessness grows silently in the most familiar places, or by rivers dividing into countless streams. Watch a river from above and you'll see it fork into streams, streams into rivulets, rivulets into trickles. Infinity hides in water's journey, dividing and dividing, creating countless paths back to the sea. It is the language of flow, endless in its branching, timeless in its return. Ancient people followed rivers to survive, never seeing them as mathematics, yet feeling their infinity. A river never stops. It may change its course, but it continues, always dividing, always moving. Infinity becomes tangible in its persistence, in its refusal to end. Rivers even mirror the branching of trees, the veins of leaves, the lightning in the sky. Nature repeats this pattern endlessly, as if infinity loves this form. Different elements, same structure. Water, wood, fire, all carving paths of division without end. There is something comforting in watching a stream split. It reminds us that choices too are never final. Each leads to more, and those to more again. Infinity offers freedom in the flow, no dead ends, only new directions. So, as rivers weave across land, they teach us infinity not as something unreachable, but as a constant presence in every drop that splits, in every path that flows. The Milky Way spilling infinite starlight. On a clear night, look at the band of the Milky Way, a soft river of light stretching across the sky. It is not a single cloud, but billions of stars, too many to count. Infinity pours through it, visible to the naked eye, not imagined, but seen, stretching overhead. For ancient cultures, the Milky Way was a road of spirits, a path to eternity. They sensed its infinity without telescopes, feeling its vastness in the shimmer above them. It became story, myth, memory, all ways of holding infinity close. Science later revealed the truth. Our galaxy holds hundreds of billions of stars, and beyond it, billions of galaxies more. Infinity unfolds in layers, each discovery expanding the endless. What looks like a narrow band of light is, in truth, a sprawling city of suns. And yet, the Milky Way is more than statistics. It is also deeply human. Lovers sit beneath it. Travelers navigate by it. Poets write of it. Infinity becomes intimate when seen through human eyes, connecting our smallness to the grandeur above. So when you look at the Milky Way, you are not just seeing stars. You are seeing infinity spill its light across the sky, a reminder that we live inside something far larger than we can ever finish knowing. Galaxies upon galaxies without end. When telescopes first revealed faint smudges in the sky, astronomers thought they were clouds. But those smudges turned out to be galaxies, each holding billions of stars. And beyond those, more galaxies, and beyond those still more. Infinity reveals itself here, not in imagination but in observation, layer upon layer of worlds without end. Hubble's deep field image captured a patch of sky no larger than a grain of sand held at arm's length. Within it, thousands of galaxies appeared. The lesson was clear. Infinity is not distant. It surrounds us, hidden in plain sight, waiting for a lens to uncover. Each galaxy holds mysteries, suns, planets, black holes, nebulae. The variety alone suggests infinity's reach. What worlds might live there? What stories unfold beyond our sight? Infinity hums in the silence between galaxies, reminding us that we will never exhaust discovery. And yet, galaxies are not isolated. They cluster together, weaving cosmic webs that stretch farther than our instruments can follow. Infinity here is not chaos, but structure, patterns repeating on scales too vast for human minds to fully hold. So when you gaze upward, know this: the smudge you see is not a cloud. It is a city of stars, and beyond it lies countless more. Infinity spilling outward, galaxy by galaxy. Black holes, swallowing without limit. At the heart of many galaxies lurk black holes, regions so dense that not even light escapes. Infinity speaks here in shadows. What falls inside is never seen again, yet the hunger remains. Black holes are reminders that infinity is not only expansion, but also collapse without bottom. Einstein's equations first hinted at them, but reality proved stranger. A star collapses, space folds inward, and suddenly infinity is no longer about distance, but about depth. Inside, time itself may stretch into eternity, seconds becoming forever, as you near the event horizon. To imagine infinity in a black hole is unsettling. It suggests a place where the rules break, where space does not end but falls endlessly inward. A spiral of gravity that knows no finish line. And yet black holes are not only destruction, they also create. Their gravity shapes galaxies, their energy fuels cosmic jets, their presence carves structure in the universe. Infinity is not cruel here. It is a sculptor working in shadows and silence. So, infinity shows another face, not stars scattered outward, but space, folding inward, not light, but darkness, not endings, but endless falling, into a mystery that remains unmeasured, space that expands faster than our steps. The universe is not still, it is stretching every second, galaxies move apart, space itself expanding. This discovery shocked scientists. Infinity is not only size, it is motion. And the expansion does not slow. It accelerates. The more we measure, the more infinity seems to outrun us. Think of a balloon being inflated. The dots on its surface spread farther apart, not because they move, but because the surface itself stretches. So too with galaxies. Infinity reveals itself not only in what is out there, but in the very fabric that carries it. This raises haunting questions. If the universe expands without end, will galaxies drift so far apart that their light can never reach each other? Will the night sky grow darker, hiding infinity behind silence? Expansion makes infinity both grand and lonely. Dark energy fuels this stretching, but what it truly is remains unknown. Infinity wears a mask here, teasing us with a force invisible, immeasurable, yet irresistible. So when you watch the stars, know they are not fixed. The canvas beneath them stretches even now, faster than we can chase. Infinity not only surrounds us, it runs ahead, forever outpacing our steps. Multiverses layered like silent pages. Some thinkers wonder, what if our universe is only one page in a larger book? Beyond our cosmos, other universes may exist, layered endlessly, each with its own laws, its own stories. This is the idea of the multiverse. Infinity multiplied by infinity. Imagine bubbles floating in a cosmic sea, each bubble a universe, with galaxies, stars, and perhaps lives inside. And yet, beyond each bubble, more stretch outward. Infinity here is not only unending space, but countless realities stacked side by side. And this thought unsettles and excites. It suggests that what we call everything may be just a corner of something far larger. Infinity may not stop with galaxies, may begin anew, endlessly, in universes unseen. Philosophers long ago imagined parallel worlds, reflections of ours in unseen mirrors. Science now entertains the same question, though framed in equations and theories. The idea remains the same, infinity too vast for one universe to hold. And so perhaps every choice, every path, every possibility unfolds somewhere. Infinity layered like pages, silent yet endless, waiting for us to turn. The thought that every choice may exist somewhere. If the multiverse is real, then every choice you make may branch into another world. In one, you turned left. In another, you turned right. In one, you spoke. In another, you stayed silent. Infinity reveals itself not in stars or numbers, but in the fabric of human decisions. This thought is dizzying. It suggests that you are not only who you are, but also who you might have been. Every possibility exists somewhere, carried in parallel threads. Infinity is not just cosmic. It is personal, woven into our daily lives. Writers have played with this for centuries. Stories of parallel worlds, of what-ifs, capture our imagination because deep down we feel the truth of it. Infinity does not only stretch outward, it stretches sideways into possibilities unseen. And yet, whether real or imagined, the idea changes how we see ourselves. If every choice is infinite, then each moment holds more weight than we realize. Infinity hums beneath our decisions, quiet but powerful. So when you pause at a crossroads, remember, infinity may already be unfolding, carrying each version of your step into worlds beyond measure. Dreams opening doors to other infinities. When you close your eyes at night, you step into worlds without boundaries. Dreams carry us through cities we've never walked, skies we've never seen, and stories that unfold beyond reason. Infinity hides here, not in galaxies or numbers, but in the limitless landscapes of the mind. Children often marvel at their dreams. One night they are flying, the next they are talking to animals. No map explains it, no law confines it. Dreams remind us that infinity is not only out there, it also blossoms within us quietly every night as we sleep. Scientists study brainwaves, trying to explain how neurons fire to make dreams. But even with explanations, the mystery persists. How does a mind in silence and darkness create entire universes in seconds? Infinity hums behind those fragile eyelids. Poets and mystics long believed dreams were glimpses into the infinite. Not just imagination, but windows into deeper layers of reality, hints of lives beyond this one, or of futures not yet lived. Whether true or not, the feeling remains. Dreams open doors that do not close. And so when you wake and recall a dream, know that you carried infinity for a moment. It slipped into your night, showing you that the endless does not only belong to stars, but also to the human soul. A mind that can imagine without boundary. Imagination is one of humanity's purest infinities. With it we can travel to the bottom of the sea, the heart of the sun, or a world that never existed. No walls contain it. Infinity blooms each time the mind dares to wander beyond what the senses show. Children reveal this best. With a stick, they see a sword. With a box, they see a castle. Infinity is alive in their play, stretching ordinary things into endless possibilities. As adults, we forget, but the ability remains, waiting for us to remember how vast thought can be. Artists and writers shape entire worlds with imagination. A blank page becomes infinity's canvas, filled with people, histories, and landscapes that never were. Imagination proves that infinity is not only external, it is generated within us, flowing endlessly if we let it. Science, too, is fueled by imagination. Every invention, every discovery began as an idea, a what-if. Infinity hums in that question. It invites us to leap beyond what is known, to reach for what has not yet been touched. So imagination is not play alone. It is the mind's way of living in infinity, of showing us that limits are often illusions, and that possibility is always more boundless than we assume. Language, stretching to name the unnameable. Language itself reaches toward infinity. With words, we capture thoughts, feelings, worlds, but the more we name, the more we realize how much escapes us. Infinity hums in the gap between what we can say and what we long to express. Poets stretch language to its edges, bending it into song, metaphor, silence. They know words are finite, yet through rhythm and symbol, they touch the infinite. A poem about love, grief, or wonder often says less than it reveals, opening infinity in the space beyond its lines. Consider how new words are born constantly. Every generation invents phrases, every culture molds its own sounds. Infinity lies in this endless creation of meaning, language never truly finished, always expanding like the universe itself. Even in translation, infinity appears. One word in one tongue may hold meanings no other tongue can fully capture. The attempt to translate becomes a window into infinity, the endless ways humans try to give voice to the uncontainable. And so language is both tool and limit. It builds bridges, but also reveals how much lies beyond speech. Infinity lives in what words fail to hold, reminding us that silence, too, has its own boundless vocabulary. Zero meeting infinity in delicate balance. At first glance, zero and infinity seem opposites, one meaning nothing, the other meaning endlessness. Yet in mathematics and philosophy they meet in strange ways, balancing each other like two sides of the same mystery. Think of division. When you divide by smaller and smaller numbers, the result grows without bound, reaching toward infinity. The closer you get to zero, the closer you get to endlessness. It is as if the smallest and the largest are secret neighbors. Philosophers and mystics have long pondered this connection. Zero is emptiness, infinity fullness. Yet emptiness can hold everything, and fullness can dissolve into nothing. The two are not enemies, but partners in the same dance. Consider the circle again. Its center is a point, almost nothing. Yet its circumference stretches without end. Through P, infinity emerges from zero, the smallest, giving birth to the largest. This paradox, hums at the heart of both science and spirituality. And so zero and infinity remind us that opposites often fold into each other. Nothingness and endlessness are not separate. They are threads of the same cloth, woven into the structure of existence, the endless loops of paradoxes. Paradoxes are riddles that refuse to close, questions that open into infinity. They tease the mind, showing us that logic itself contains endless corridors. Each paradox is a mirror, reflecting back infinity in ways we cannot resolve. Consider the liar's paradox. This statement is false. If it is true, then it is false. If it is false, then it is true. The mind spins, unable to end the loop. Infinity hides here, not in numbers, but in the limits of reason. Zeno's arrow, the horizon, Schrödinger's cat, all paradoxes reveal infinity's playfulness. They remind us that the world is not a box of neat answers. It is an unfolding puzzle, always inviting us deeper. Paradoxes often frustrate us, but they also expand us. They stretch thought beyond comfort, forcing us to sit with the endless. They teach patience with mystery, humility before truths larger than our categories. So when the mind circles a paradox, it is not trapped. It is touching infinity, spiraling into loops that never finish, reminding us that not everything must resolve to be meaningful. Time circles imagined by philosophers. Some ancient thinkers believed time was not a straight line, but a circle. Days return, seasons repeat, generations rise and fall, only to be born again. Infinity hides in this circular time, where endings fold into beginnings. The circle of time becomes a wheel, always turning, never stopping. Hindus spoke of yugas, vast ages cycling endlessly. The Greeks imagined eternal return, where all events repeat across infinity. Even modern science hints at cycles, universes that may collapse and be reborn in new big bangs. Infinity speaks not only in length, but in rhythm. For people living close to the Earth, cycles were obvious. The moon grew and vanished, the harvest came and went. Infinity lived in these patterns, promising continuity even when lives ended. What dies in autumn returns in spring. What sets in the west rises again in the east. Philosophy adds another layer. If time is a circle, then every moment has been lived before and will be lived again. Infinity becomes personal. Your breath, your thought, your laughter, all endlessly recurring through eternity's wheel. And so, whether myth or reality, circular time reminds us that infinity is not always forward or backward. Sometimes it is turning, spinning, looping, a dance that never ends. The infinity of questions that follow each answer. Ask one question, and it leads to another. What is the sky becomes what is space, which becomes what is beyond. Infinity hides in this chain of curiosity. Answers never close the door, they only open more doors behind them. Children reveal this best. A child asks why, and every answer invites another why. Parents laugh, but the truth is profound. Knowledge itself is infinite. Every discovery unfolds more mysteries. Every solved problem reveals deeper ones. Infinity is stitched into the fabric of learning. Science embodies this. Discover atoms and you find electrons. Discover electrons and you find quarks. Discover quarks and you wonder what lies deeper. Each answer is a beginning. Infinity hums in the relentless expansion of knowledge. Philosophy, too, is built on questions without end. What is truth? What is good? What is real? None reach a final answer. And yet the endless asking is not failure. It is participation in infinity, a reminder that life is less about answers than about the joy of wondering. So when questions keep arriving, do not despair. They are proof that you are touching infinity, walking paths that do not end but continue to bloom. The silence between sounds that holds eternity. Music is not only made of notes, but of silences. Between each beat, each phrase, lies a pause. Infinity hides in those spaces, the unplayed moments that give shape to sound. Without silence, music would be noise. With it, songs open into endless depth. Imagine listening to a drum. The strike fades, and for a moment there is quiet. That quiet stretches, holding you in suspense. Infinity whispers there, not as sound, but as possibility. It is the breath of eternity woven into rhythm. Nature, too, plays with silence. The wind pauses before a storm. A forest grows still before dawn. Infinity hums in those gaps where the world seems to hold its breath. The silence is never empty. It is filled with waiting, with potential, with unspoken music. Poets and mystics treasure silence for the same reason. Words may end, but silence continues. It invites us into infinity by showing that presence does not require sound. In the quiet, eternity becomes audible, though no note is played. And so the next time you hear music, listen closely to the spaces between. In those pauses, infinity rests, gently reminding you that endlessness can be heard not only in sound, but in silence itself. Breath entering and leaving without beginning. Close your eyes and notice your breathing. In, out, in, out. The rhythm continues without clear beginning. Did the first breath start at birth? Or was it part of a longer flow passed from parents, from air, from the cycle of life itself? Infinity hums inside every inhale and exhale. Breath is both personal and universal. You breathe, but so does every living thing, animals, plants, oceans. The air you draw was exhaled by trees, recycled by countless lungs before yours. Infinity circulates in this unseen exchange, binding all life into a single, endless breath. In meditation, breath becomes a doorway. Observed closely, it dissolves the sense of start and stop. There is only flow, endless, continuous. Infinity reveals itself in this most ordinary act. Proof that eternity can be found in the chest's gentle rise and fall. Even when life ends, breath does not vanish. The air continues, moving into wind, into storm, into the lungs of others. Infinity ensures that what seems personal is in truth shared. Every breath is part of a larger, unbroken rhythm. So tonight, as you breathe, remember, you are participating in infinity. It is not only cosmic or mathematical. It is the steady pulse of air moving through you without beginning, without end. The beating of a heart in infinite rhythm. Like breath, the heart beats without pause. A rhythm begun before you were aware, continuing without your command. Each beat follows another, then another. Infinity hides here, not in abstract thought, but in the steady music of life within you. Doctors can measure heartbeats, but no machine can capture the infinity of rhythm they form across lifetimes, across generations. Billions of hearts beating through history, each part of an endless symphony. Infinity hums, not in one heart, but in the unbroken chorus of all. Listen closely, and the heart's rhythm mirrors nature's rhythms. It pulses like waves, like footsteps, like seasons. Infinity is not far away. It beats within your chest, aligning you with the endless patterns outside. Even when one heart stops, the rhythm continues in others. Families, communities, humanity itself carry the beat onward. Infinity ensures the music does not fall silent. The song of life is bigger than one instrument. And so, the heart becomes proof of infinity in flesh. It does not argue or explain. It simply beats, quietly, endlessly, reminding us that the infinite can live within something as small as a body. Life continuing through generations unbroken, life itself is an unbroken thread. From parents to children, from ancestors to descendants, existence flows without pause. Your life did not begin with you. It is the continuation of countless lives before you. Infinity hums in this chain, where each generation becomes a link in something larger than itself. Think of a family tree. At first it looks like a small chart, but follow it backward and the branches multiply endlessly. Tens, hundreds, thousands of ancestors carried the thread to you. Infinity whispers through those roots, reminding you that you are not separate but part of an endless river of life. Even in nature, this continuity is everywhere. Flowers drop seeds, seeds become flowers again. The cycle never ends. Infinity is not only cosmic, but also biological, growing in fields, forests, and families alike. Sometimes we feel small, but remembering this unbroken line shows us our vastness. You are part of a story that began long before you and will continue long after. Infinity does not end at the edges of your life. It carries forward in blood, breath, and memory. So, life itself becomes a living infinity, an eternal handoff from past to future, without break, without final page. The genetic code, spiraling endlessly forward, inside each of us, DNA coils in a spiral, holding the blueprint of life. Its sequence stretches billions of letters long, a code written in 4 simple symbols, yet capable of producing infinite variety. Infinity hides in this spiral, carrying life forward through time. Every cell in your body contains this script, and yet no two humans are the same. Infinity unfolds through tiny differences, endless combinations of the same 4 letters shaping every face, every voice, every soul. Scientists marvel at this code, but it also feels poetic. A spiral so small holds the story of life's past and its future. Each strand is both archive and prophecy, carrying ancient memories and unborn generations. Even more astonishing, DNA is shared. Humans share most of their code with trees, with birds, with whales. Infinity reveals itself in connection, proving that life is one endless family, branching in countless directions from the same spiral route. So within you, within every living thing, infinity spins quietly, a double helix, winding forward, writing existence with endless patience. Evolution, branching into countless futures. From single-celled beginnings to the vast diversity of life today, evolution shows infinity in motion. Species rise, change, adapt, and give birth to endless new forms. Infinity whispers in the branches of the tree of life, where one path becomes many, and many become countless more. Consider the variety: insects, birds, mammals, corals, fungi, all from the same origin, yet each unfolding into unique designs. Infinity reveals itself in life's creativity, in its refusal to stop experimenting with form and function. Fossils remind us of this story. Dinosaurs vanish, but birds rise. Ancient fish crawl onto land, becoming the ancestors of mammals. Infinity stretches not only through survival, but also through transformation, proving that life is not fixed, but endlessly unfolding. Even today, new species appear. In oceans, forests, deserts, life continues to branch, adapting to changing worlds. Infinity ensures that the story of life is never finished, never locked into one form. So when you see a bird in flight or a flower blooming, remember, you are witnessing infinity in action, life endlessly reaching into the future, creating forms yet unseen. Civilizations rising, falling, and rising again. Human history, too, carries infinity. Civilizations rise in brilliance, then fade, only for others to rise again. Egypt, Greece, Rome, India, China. Each flourished, each declined, but the pattern continues. Infinity whispers in the cycles of culture, as knowledge and memory are never truly lost. Books, architecture, music, all carry traces of past worlds. Even ruins speak. A broken column in the desert is proof that infinity is not only forward, but circular as ideas resurface, transformed in new ages. Our own time is part of this cycle. Technology advances, but it builds on what came before. The internet echoes the libraries of Alexandria. Space travel continues the voyages of ancient sailors. Infinity ensures that progress is never isolated. It is a chain, each link holding countless others. There is humility here. Empires fall, but humanity persists. Knowledge burns, but it is rewritten. Civilizations collapse, but life rebuilds. Infinity teaches patience, that nothing is final, neither glory nor ruin. So history itself is infinite, not because it repeats perfectly, but because it continues endlessly, generation after generation, civilization after civilization. Knowledge building upon knowledge without ceiling. Knowledge itself grows like an endless staircase. Each discovery becomes a step, lifting us higher. Yet the top is never in sight. Infinity hums here, reminding us that understanding has no ceiling, no final page. Think of fire discovered, then electricity, then the atom, then space. Each breakthrough opened more questions than it closed. Infinity lives in that expansion, knowledge unfolding faster the more we climb. Libraries carry this truth. No matter how many books are written, more are needed. The shelves can never be filled, for every answer births new questions. Infinity ensures the library of human thought is always under construction. Even within one lifetime, the pace is humbling. The world you were born into is not the world you grow old in. Knowledge races forward, endlessly evolving, endlessly surprising. Infinity breathes in this forward surge, showing us that learning is a living river, never a finished pool. So in classrooms, in conversations, in quiet moments of discovery, infinity is at work. Knowledge will never end because truth itself stretches endlessly, always inviting us to keep climbing.